But waiting, there's no response. Pain fills his eyes. So in the end, there's no one left. Am I the only one left alive? He looks up blankly, his eyes reflecting a severed head rolling away. Him, the one who first united the demon race, and caused the fall of humanity, the High Priest. Just then, a monstrous figure opens its wide maw full of sharp teeth, wanting to devour the baby in his arms. He doesn't let it fulfill its intention, instead muttering an incantation. The monstrous figure instantly explodes without harming the small life. The baby is quickly enveloped by green light energy, then sent to a safe place received by a mage. Oscar leads a group of mages clad in white robes, myself and the mages from the White Magic Tower who followed me. We bet everything. The two sides clashed fiercely. In the end, only the High Priest's bloodied head remained. For the future of humanity, if not for us, no one could have done it. But a girl appears holding a scroll emotionlessly, delivering the announcement, 3:12 p.m. April 28th, confirming the death of the High Priest. Confirming the death of the High Priest. This is the last dragon in the world, the recorder of history, Edna Son Lapres. She turns her gaze towards him. Master of the White Magic Tower. I have good news and bad news for you. Oscar doesn't hesitate to make his choice. The bad news first. She slowly recounts. As expected, the Demon Legion invaded the White Magic Tower. During the process, most mages did not survive, and the Magic Tower was partially destroyed, and the documents and mages were almost all incinerated. He falls silent for a moment, then asks, "And the good news?" She replies, "The royal army arrived earlier than expected, so they managed to save a few survivors, including your disciples." He covers his mouth with his hand and coughs a few times. What a relief. Edna can't help but ask, "Do you regret today's decision?" Oscar lowers his eyes and replies, "I don't. I personally chose each one of them. I can't say I regret it in front of them." He looks at his blood-covered hands. Edna finally asks, "Is there anything else you want to say?" The master of the Magic Tower quietly says, "Take care of my disciples. They are still young, they must be very worried." Then she respectfully places her hand on her chest, bows her head, and promises him, "I will occasionally check on them." Seeing her like this, Oscar can't help but burst out laughing. A dragon bowing before a mere human. Edna doesn't pay much attention to his words. "You have earned the right to receive it. The entire continent and I will never forget the sacrifice of the hero from the White Magic Tower." He can't help but sigh. Well, of course. Facing his fading life, countless regrets surface in his heart. It would be a lie to say I have no regrets. Although I might be the best mage, I wasn't a good leader. But if, just if, I had one more chance. In his heart, he starts thinking of peaceful and beautiful scenes with his beloved disciples. Even if I'm called a villain, I would live a truly selfish life just for my people. In his memories, Oscar would happily smile while receiving a wreath from his disciples. Then his hand goes limp, his eyes gradually lose focus as he thinks, I want to live like that. Edna steps forward and places her hand over his eyes. She records 3:47 p.m. April 28th, confirming the death of the master of the White Magic Tower, Sage Oscar. History books still recount the battle of that day, the High Priest dead. Level 6, mages of the White Magic Tower killed. Level 7, mages of the White Magic Tower killed. Level 8, mages of the White Magic Tower killed. The Level 9 mage of the White Magic Tower, master of the Magic Tower, Sage Oscar killed. It's unknown how much time has passed, but at the imposing White Magic Tower, in a room, a blue-haired young man approaches carrying a basin of water. On the bed lies an unconscious person. A leaf blows in through the window and lands on the person's hand. Suddenly, he jolts awake. Flailing his arms and legs, he somehow hits the young man carrying the basin, causing him to cry out. Frank looks at him angrily and shouts, "Hey, I'm all wet! I was just about to change your towel." He puts the basin down on the table, muttering incessantly, "Your sleeping habits are terrible. You're not even grateful for my care." The other young man repeats his words, puzzled. Sleeping habits. He thinks to himself, I was sleeping in such an unguarded state. No more importantly, I was dead. But the heart in his chest is still beating rapidly. Oscar recalls the moment of life and death, panicked, wondering, why is my heart? The High Priest definitely pierced my heart. He speaks up asking, "Hey, what's going on?" Before he can finish his sentence, a loud bang echoes from the door. Maxim angrily enters, growling, "You're awake." Behind him are splintered pieces of wood, what used to be the door. Frank quickly runs to block the enraged man. "Elder, calm down. He just opened his eyes 5 minutes ago." Maxim doesn't seem to hear a word. He says, struggling to move towards Oscar, "Get out of the way." "Frank, I've let it slide several times already. This time I'll definitely straighten this bastard out," Frank pleads desperately with him. He's still a patient. Ignoring the struggle between the two, he looks at them and asks puzzledly, "How am I still alive?" Hearing him say that, Maxim finds it laughable. "How right, you're surprised you're still alive," Oscar calmly says. "That robe. It seems you're a mage from the White Magic Tower." He uses a superior tone to order the two of them, explain the situation in detail. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Hearing this, Frank trembles and asks, Hey, what's wrong?" Maxim freezes. "Explain." He growls angrily, his eyes seeming to shoot sparks as he repeats, "Explain. You've lost your mind. You should be begging and showing remorse." He puts force into swinging his arm. Conversely, Oscar calmly observes Maxim's movements, attacking an assassin planted by the demon race. If so, windshield, he instantly casts the skill. In his imagination, if this windshield forms instantly and blocks the hand, the opponent's wrist will break like straw. A blue sphere envelops Oscar as he thinks this lowly fellow didn't even think about it before attacking. But when the man's hand touches his barrier, a hole appears along with it, leaving him utterly bewildered. The windshield disappeared. Oscar looks back at himself worriedly. Wait, what is this pathetic magic? But just then, Maxim suddenly stops. Your windshield is pretty good, so you haven't just been fooling around all this time. He turns and leaves, not forgetting to add a few words. I'll postpone disciplining you for embezzling research funds. So for now, just focus on recovering. Frank respectfully opens the door for him. Goodbye, sir. After the man has gone far, he turns his head to question, Hey, are you crazy? But Oscar is still trembling, thinking, the windshield disappeared instantly upon use. How long have I been asleep? Frank sighs comfortingly. You know Elder Maxim's personality. You're really strange. Oscar clenches his fist again. Mana circuit. The amount and purity of mana are both crap. Is this really my body? What happened to my body? Oscar asks loudly in panic. What's today's date? Frank jumps and replies, Ah, goodness, September 21st. You were unconscious. He asks again in confusion, Have I been asleep for 5 months? Frank goes to open the window and answers, What are you talking about? It's only been almost a day. Oscar can only sigh, whatever. Call Loy. If not, then Julie or Sasha. I need to hear the exact situation from them. Frank exclaims in surprise. Doesn't seem like acting. Has he really lost his memory? Putting aside the traitors, how dare you say the Tower Master's name so casually? Hearing this, Oscar repeats. Traitors. Frank doesn't even turn his head to look. Did you forget about that too? Is it because of side effects? He briefly explains to him Lois left the White Magic Tower to become a disciple of the Red Tower Master, and Julius Dominic ran away with high-level magic books. Hearing this, Oscar raises his voice and scolds, How dare you spout such nonsense? But looking closely, he suddenly realizes, the air around him isn't fluctuating at all. Is he telling the truth? Oscar murmurs, asking, So Sasha became the Tower Master. Frank excitedly praises, She's the absolute best. He looks at him puzzledly. How can a 5-year-old kid become a Tower Master? Frank adjusts his glasses, smoothing his hair, saying, Add a 2 before the 5. Oscar immediately reassures himself. Right, some children have very vivid imaginations. Why are you getting angry at a kid? Sage Oscar. Those fabrications sound quite real. Just then, Frank moves away from the shiny window which reflects his image. Oscar sees an unfamiliar face reflected in it. He panics and clutches his head. Who is this? Oscar has changed into different clothes, sitting comfortably on the sofa, sighing. Even seeing it with my own eyes, it's still unbelievable. Years have passed since my death. It has developed so much. Looking down at the bustling, brightly lit streets at night, he observes every new thing. Is that glowing thing called a streetlight? And those are cars. It's all thanks to the Magitech revolution. They would surely want to see this. Thinking this, Oscar chuckles. He reaches out and touches the glass surface like water. When the world was on the verge of collapse, everywhere was filled with eyes giving up. Reminiscing time is over. Time to organize everything I know about the owner of this body. Oscar Crucian, adopted by the White Magic Tower at age 10 and currently 20 years old. He is a level 1 mage from a declining noble family. He praises himself, a good-looking face. But he's a poor mage, only reached level 1 at age 20. As a result, he had to hastily buy an illegal potion by embezzling research funds and became unconscious after drinking it. Oscar senses the body's abilities, right? If successful, the mana in his body would increase several-fold, but if it failed, his life would be in danger. That's why it's illegal. Frank said I was unconscious all day after drinking it, but in reality, he probably died from a mana outburst. He suddenly opens his eyes wide, detecting the energy flow in his body. Oscar can't help but be surprised. What's this? Just a level 1 mage, but with so much mana. Most of it is unrefined, pure mana too. Is it all thanks to that cheap, illegal potion? Modern society is truly different. Just then a black spot appears, catching his attention. What's this? He guides it out to his fingertip. A jet black liquid is slowly extracted. As soon as it falls and touches the floor, thin smoke rises. He stares intently at it. The area around the liquid is scorched. Oscar cries out in horror, This is poison. Why is there poison in his body? Then he suddenly stops and smiles, I see. I roughly understand the situation now. He starts making his own deductions. First, that illegal potion wasn't necessarily a fake. No matter the price, it's very difficult to obtain a potion. The problem is Oscar Crucian didn't know it contained poison. After examining the remaining poison and the time he was unconscious, I'm even more certain. In other words, he didn't die from a mana outburst, but from poison. And the poison's level was too high for a level 1 mage to withstand. Without me, it would surely have been very difficult to detect this. He clenches his fist and smiles lightly. Oscar stands up from the chair, wondering silently, I don't know who is playing with my soul, but the consequence is, I've been given a second chance just as I wished before dying. He reaches out and takes the potion vial. The empty vial reflects Oscar's smile as he thinks, a selfish life for my people. Starting like this isn't bad either. Smiling meaningfully, he says to himself with satisfaction, Oscar Crucien, to repay you for lending me this body, I will avenge you. In the outskirts of Siren, in a brightly lit mansion, a voice calls out, Hey, there's news from the shop. Asin, holding a wine bottle, angrily scolds his subordinate, I'm the boss. How many times do I have to tell you to address me properly? Bat bows his head. I'm sorry, boss. Only then does Asin let it go. So, what happened? He hesitates for a moment before saying, the inside of the shop was completely wrecked. It was done by some mages. He angrily slams the wine bottle on the table. Who are they to dare do such a thing? Bat stammers. I'm not sure. It seems one of them wanted to meet the person who sold him the potion. Could it be Oscar Crucian? Asin frowns. How could it be? Oscar is a sage. Besides, how could someone nearly killed by our potion defeat my men? He advises worriedly. But what if the White Magic Tower decides to investigate this? He sighs. Did you forget who asked us to deal with Oscar? Asin recalls. He wore a White Magic Tower ring. The requester was a mage from the White Magic Tower. Suddenly a voice rings out. Who knows? How foolish must one be to confidently assert their identities? The two men shout in panic. Who's there? Oscar, dressed in White Magic Tower attire, enters through the window. Seeing him, Asin is terrified. Oscar Crucien. He assesses I followed the faint scent remaining in the vial. There seemed to be more people involved than I thought. How troublesome. Asin panics. You're the one who wrecked our shop, aren't you? Oscar casually admits. Yes, you guessed right. It was me. I'm quite interested in what you two were talking about. Shall the three of us continue the conversation? All right. Just then, the man lets Bat go. I was going to let you go if you acted like you heard nothing, but now. Kill him. This single word commands Bat. He draws his knife and charges at Oscar. Yes, boss. He looks at him coldly. If you intentionally point your blade at me, then I won't hesitate to retaliate. He flicks his wrist windslash. Bat hits the ground right behind him. Instantly his blood sprays everywhere. Head in one place, body in another. Seeing this, Oscar frowns in displeasure. Sick only cut off the head. Reminds me of the priest's head from before. Seeing this, Asin shouts Bat. He angrily raises his gun towards him. You bastard! 3 gunshots ring out. The bullets speed towards him. Oscar smiles in praise. Not bad. He casts the windshield spell. Seeing the projectiles blocked, he remarks, I don't sense any mana in this technique at all. How can you use this thing to dominate thugs? Asin shouts in fear. You stopped my bullets, Oscar says with interest. So they're called bullets. Then he waves his hand, causing the bullets to fly back towards Asin. Exciting, I'll return them to you right now. He is shot through by his own bullets. Then falls rolling on the ground. Asin curses through gritted teeth. You damn. Oscar walks over to him. Right, let me tell you beforehand. Your subordinates won't be coming right away because I've blocked all sounds from escaping this room. You see? Hearing this, Asin asks in panic. Just a level 1 mage, yet you can use a level 5 silent spell. Oscar sits on the chair, placing his foot on the man, just casually explaining again. It's not silence. What I used is a sound binding spell. I simply bound all sounds to this room so they couldn't get out. Now then, I'd be very happy if you surrender and answer my question. Who ordered you to harm me? Asin growls I won't. But before he finishes, he gets kicked in the mouth. His face is filled with killing intent. Actions have consequences, understand quite the attitude. He glares as he feels power flowing into his body. Then Asin struggles, falls back, and screams loudly, his body in extreme pain. Oscar thinks silently, I just directed wind into his body. Now he'll feel like thousands of needles are pricking him all over. Getting serious here feels pretty good. He speaks up. I don't like bullying others, so if you're smart, confess. Asin crawls painfully towards him, begging, Please, I'll tell you everything. Stop it. He waves his hand. Good. Tell me everything you know about him. Asin pants heavily and confesses, He gave me a vial of magic potion and some money, told me to sell it to you at a cheap price. I thought refusing then was impossible. Oscar asks further, what about his appearance? He recalls he wore a hood over his face so we couldn't see clearly, but I'm sure he wore a White Magic Tower ring. He sighs. Okay. Right. He speculates inwardly. It's possible that was a trick to deceive this guy. Asin suddenly remembers, that guy's scent. He emitted a very distinct scent, a cool and refreshing mint smell. That's all I know. Oscar memorizes this detail. Mint scent, huh? That's worth noting. He asks again, Assuming you killed me, how did you plan to handle the aftermath? Asin stammers his reply. About that, currently the White Magic Tower is busy dealing with withdrawal orders from the 4 main magic towers, so I thought they wouldn't investigate this matter. Hearing this, he frowns and repeats, "Wait. Withdrawal orders from the 4 main magic towers." "What's that about?" Asen trembles. "Shouldn't you know better than me?" Oscar growls. "Drinking that stuff made me forget everything, not going to tell the truth." The man sits up, frightened. "Let me show you some documents. Please excuse me." He sits aside, watching the man fumble with opening the cabinet. Asen presents several files. "These are the documents I have." Oscar flips through a stack of white papers. "Let's read about the White Magic Tower first. Officially designating April 28th as the day of the White Knight, therefore the day of the priest's passing. To commemorate the sacrifice of Sage Oscar, the Emperor granted the tower many great privileges and exempted it from taxes for 30 years. However, among all the magic towers, the White Magic Tower produced the worst results last year. The place that lost everything 20 years ago hasn't been able to recover since then. This year at the White Knight Festival, the royal family issued an important announcement. Experts pointed out that the biggest existing problem of the White Magic Tower is the lack of high-level magic." Oscar furrows his brow, puzzled. "The White Magic Tower has no high-level magic, but I remember giving all the documents to Edna just in case something like this happened. I need to investigate this separately. Also, the White Magic Tower's business results are the worst." He ponders before speaking. "Hey, tell me what the 4 main towers are currently doing business in." Asen immediately replies, "Yes, sir." The Yellow Magic Tower, located in the east, controls lightning, ushered in a spectacular era of magitech, contributing to the birth of revolutionary items like streetlights and cars. The Blue Magic Tower in the south contributes to the beverage business, agriculture, and magic potions. The Vermilion Magic Tower, full of deserts in the west, chose to join the combat ranks and assists in missions like taming monsters. Oscar wonders, what about the White Magic Tower? Asen hesitates for a moment. The White Magic Tower does transportation. Hearing this makes him itch all over. What kind of business? Transportation. Oscar freezes completely. He covers his face, trembling. "Did you just say transportation? Like transporting goods? That kind of thing?" Asen explains. "Yes, that's right. But considering the White Magic Tower's postal service, along with those capable of riding the wind, it's perfectly convenient for transporting goods quickly and safely, isn't it?" Oscar's face darkens. "Riding the wind. What the heck is that reality check?" The mages of the White Magic Tower are those who soar high, controlling the skies, nicknamed the Free Ones and Ganza. That's why they are compared to dragons and eagles. He asks gloomily, "Exactly who started that business?" Asen answers, frightened. "As far as I know, it's the current master of the White Magic Tower." He rolls his eyes helplessly. "So it's my spoiled brats." Oscar sighs. "All right, so what about the beverage and agriculture industries? Weren't magic potions already a huge source of profit for a magic tower? For what reason did the Blue Magic Tower take on that business?" Asen starts explaining. The Blue Magic Tower is a bit different. In reality, they hold a monopoly on the magic potion market. Oscar frowns. 10 years ago, it was the White Magic Tower that was the giant in the magic potion market. If only all the potion recipes from that year hadn't been burned. The man continues. Regarding the beverage and agriculture business, they are selling clean water at exorbitant prices and bringing rain to drought-stricken areas. He frowns, wondering, why do people have to buy clean water? Asen is confused. Lately it's been a hobby of the rich. He waves his hand, looking puzzled, trying to earn a few extra coins but turning themselves into a joke. "If you're thirsty, just drink well water. Why make such a fuss?" Asen doesn't dare make a sound and just chuckles along. Oscar silently continues looking at the files. In summary, in terms of profit, the White Magic Tower is lagging behind other magic towers. That makes sense. The business scale of the remaining magic towers is on a completely different level. I bet this year's White Knight Festival will be their last chance to prove their worth. The problem is, there are only 7 months left. Suddenly, Asen is seized by pain again. Sir Oscar, my body, cuff." Seeing this, he wonders, did he die from shock or too much blood loss? He picks up a file labeled Ledger and thinks silently. The information he provided is quite valuable. Should I save him? Then he frowns, reading the contents inside. Regarding Asen. Crimes: assault, illegal loans, extortion, and even assassination upon request. Oscar decisively stands up and leaves. "You really are a walking pile of trash," ignoring the man writhing in pain on the floor, calling after him, "Sir Oscar." He jumps out the window while Asen collapses completely onto the floor. Oscar coldly leaves with the documents. "Remember to be a good person in your next life." Dawn has broken high above the White Magic Tower. Oscar tiredly opens the door and enters the room. Ugh, so tired. Flopping down onto the chair, he throws everything he gathered onto the table. "Can't believe I'm exhausted just from using a few spells that should be easy as pie. What's wrong with my body after all?" He thinks seriously. At this rate, can I even use that magic? The magic that made Sage Oscar the greatest sage in human history, Wind Prison. He holds out his hand, creating a swirling ball of wind. But it quickly dissipates. Oscar reflects it dispersed. Probably can't use it anymore. First, I need to fully understand my current body's condition. I'll start scanning with magic. He picks up a black file to look at. Meanwhile, I'll gather more information. The memories in his head are all jumbled up. While Frank shared some information, the important thing now is to know everything about Oscar Crucian if I want to keep this body. Oscar Crucian, heir to Count Crucian, also the sole survivor of the horrific mansion fire that year. The world recognized him as a magic prodigy very early on. Their soaring expectations led to fierce competition to recruit him. He enrolled in the magic department of the Imperial Academy for 6 years, always achieving perfect scores. By publishing an extraordinary thesis, he successfully proved himself an undeniable genius. The more he reads, the more puzzled he feels. But why would someone like that remain at level 1? The unfortunate truth turned out to be this. If only he didn't suffer from mana deficiency syndrome, he could have become the greatest mage representing his generation. Reading this, Oscar's eyes widen in surprise. He repeats, mana deficiency syndrome. If this is true, then him remaining at level 1 is completely understandable. He understood magic better than anyone else, but couldn't use it. Just then, the magic surrounding his body shimmers brightly. The result forms a transparent sphere. Oscar examines it in his hand, scan complete. He reads the incantation, confirm results. An information panel appears before Oscar. He furrows his brow, bewildered. Wait a minute. He doesn't have mana deficiency syndrome at all. The more detailed information he sees, the more surprised Oscar becomes. It's not due to illness. Rather, someone sealed his magic flow. Mana deficiency syndrome, as the name suggests, is a condition where one cannot circulate or accumulate magic. A mage can install a maximum of 20 physical circuits on their mana circuit. The number of installed physical circuits determines their level. However, if they have mana deficiency syndrome, the entire circuit cannot be established. Therefore, even if they practice their whole lives, they cannot surpass level 3. Oscar quickly stands up, thinking, however, Oscar Crucian's situation is different. His physical circuit wasn't completely twisted. Rather, it was deliberately forced by someone. If this guy really is a genius, then he must have known he didn't have mana deficiency syndrome. It would be better if he kept a diary. Oscar takes a book down from the shelf. He remembers, according to Frank, Oscar Crucian was an alcoholic. However, was that something he deliberately created? He knew someone had blocked his circuit and wanted his life, so he deliberately acted like a bad boy. Oscar holds a large stack of books, reasoning, if that's the case, then I understand why he fell into the trap of the illegal potion, in a situation where he couldn't trust anyone. He had to remove the shackles himself alone. Conversely, I just need to untie that knot. Suddenly, Oscar notices a gray-covered book with countless sticky notes sticking out. He murmurs the title, I will be able to do it. The page is turned, revealing countless drawings and writings. Oscar raises an eyebrow, carefully reading the content inside. The paper records dense lines of text. The trajectory of the wind slash is too boring, can be supplemented with. On this side, it's written, Wind Shield, a defensive magic type with infinite applications. The advantage of using this is, another page overlaps. Advanced Windshield can be used as an attack. Below is another drawing. A weapon called a gun, perfect to be recreated with the magic of the White Tower. The more he reads, the more surprised he becomes, using circulating bullet rings as an engine. The concept behind the advanced windshield mentioned here is similar to how I use it. It's completely different from the idea and principle of a simple defensive skill. Furthermore, he also wrote about how best to use it based on the situation. Besides that, there are some other basic magics he created himself. He couldn't use his own magic, but he performed all these as hypothetical experiments in his mind. I understand why he was called a genius. We are similar when it comes to interpreting hypotheses. Besides, I can tell just by looking at this one book. Oscar thinks of the scene of the sorrowful young man writing while using a handkerchief to stop coughing up blood. He didn't give up on magic. Instead, he worked harder than everyone else. His passion shows me that he loved magic. Reaching the last page, the writer had carefully penned his thoughts. I hope this book blows even the weakest winds towards the White Tower, from a mage about to undertake their greatest challenge. He ponders, realizing, so he knew. He knew everything. But he had to do it all alone. Oscar Crucian, he murmurs the name as he stands up. A young mage who didn't succumb to his fate, and quietly faced it alone. Oscar plops down onto the sofa in the middle of the room. He begins to meditate. I swear in the name of Oscar Sager, 17th Master of the Magic Tower, I will untie the knot that you couldn't. Furthermore, I will make those who cruelly broke your wings pay the price. From the center of his chest, a magic symbol appears. Then Oscar clenches his fist. Open the physical circuits in the body. In the garden, countless types of fresh green plants and flowers flourish. Oscar pauses, wondering, why am I wandering around the greenhouse? I remember falling asleep while trying to figure out how to untie the knot in the physical circuit. Suddenly a voice rings out, Tower Master. He startles and looks to one side, where Sage Oscar is meeting with his 3 disciples. Loy greets, we've arrived. Oscar smiles and replies, sit down, we'll have today's lesson here, okay? The children nod eagerly. Yes. At this moment he silently exclaims, Ah, I get it now. Is it because of that damn dream curse, the nightmare count of the demon realm? Because of his damn curse. Every time I sleep, I dream of the past. Honestly, I thought this curse would be lifted when I entered this body. His face falls as he realizes, but it seems that curse is attached to the soul, not the physical body. Then he continues observing the master and 3 disciples. But should I say I'm quite lucky, it seems the dream about my students hasn't changed, and it seems they aren't temporarily sensitive. Meanwhile, Sage Oscar has started teaching. What did I say we would learn today? Loy speaks first. You said you would teach us about the magic system, and said the system is the magic system of mages or knights, usually divided into 4 types, known as the 4 magic types. Oscar smiles in agreement. That's right. Magic might look similar physically, but it's actually divided into 4 types: enhancement, acceleration, balance, and special type. 9-year-old Loy Sooth asks curiously, the White Tower pursues the harmony type, right? He nods in confirmation. That's right. Wind magic suits us best. Little Sasha Mize, who just turned 5, also asks, does each tower have its own favorite magic type? Oscar explains yes, because each different magic type has different characteristics. The Yellow Tower believes speed is most important, so they have acceleration type magic, while the Red Tower believes fire is important, so they represent enhancement type magic. The Blue Tower and White Tower both represent the balance magic type. 7-year-old Julius Dominic raises his hand excitedly. Tower Master, I want to learn the acceleration magic type. Slow things are so annoying. Oscar smiles gently. Julie, unfortunately, you don't get to choose. You have to be born with it. Sasha wonders, then how can we know what we were born with? He picks up a wooden stick, draws a circle on the grass, and says, it's easier than you think, Sasha. Extend your index finger and perform this magic. The little girl curiously looks at the drawing on the ground, thinking, this is the first time I've seen this incantation, so it will take quite some time. Oscar doesn't rush her, but says, there's no need to hurry. The little girl obediently replies, yes. When successfully cast, white smoke appears at her fingertip. Sasha exclaims, something is coming out. Oscar gently analyzes. It's not too fast and not too rough, it's balanced. You are the harmony type. Sasha asks again, am I like you, Tower Master? He nods. Yes. Then Sasha smiles brightly and exclaims, I like it. Then Julius quickly casts magic. I want to do that too. From his fingertip a flash of lightning appears. Lloyd beside him agrees, me too. Seeing this, Oscar says, Julie, just as you wished, you are the acceleration type. Hearing this, the blonde boy jumps up joyfully. Awesome. Then Oscar turns to the last student, Lloyd. You are the special type. Just then, a blooming rose appears in the boy's hand. Sasha looks over and praises, oh my, a flower. So beautiful. But Lloyd doesn't seem very pleased. The boy asks quietly, Tower Master, can I change my type? After it's been decided, Oscar explains, the special type is very rare. It only accounts for 0.2% of mages. Why would you want to change it? Although you can't do that. Lloyd replies pleadingly, I prefer the balance type like the Tower Masters. Oscar smiles, feigning confusion. Really? Then what should I do? I've arranged some private lessons for Lloyd. Should I find out how someone can change their type? Hearing this, Lloyd's eyes widen. He pretends not to care and asks, I'll get private lessons. Oscar clasps his hands together, tilting his head. Of course, mages with the special type will find it very difficult to develop without the right teacher. Hearing this, Lloyd holds out his pinky finger and says, thinking about it, I think the special type isn't too bad. But you have to promise you'll give me the most private lessons. Oscar happily links pinkies with him, smiling. All right, I understand. Meanwhile, he himself is still watching from afar, whispering thoughtfully, Lloyd, that kid's nickname is Boy of Promises. A gentle smile appears on his face. The wind blows through Oscar's messy hair. He nostalgically gathers all those moments into his mind, one last time. No matter how the boy has grown up, he's still just a kid. In the corner of the room, a small speaker crackles. A mechanical voice emits, this is an announcement from the dispatch room. The sound pulls Oscar back to reality. He sits up from the chair, wondering, how long was I asleep? The speaker continues calling Oscar Crucien. Mage Oscar Crucien, please proceed to Laboratory 4202. The elevator doors rattle open as Oscar steps out. He walks while pondering, I have 8 physical circuits remaining. I've unlocked 12 out of 20. More. When unlocking my physical circuits, I gained 2 more mana circuit lines, and I'm currently level 2. He raises his hand to knock on the door. A voice comes from inside, come in. Oscar is still lost in his thoughts. Who would have thought there'd be a day I'd be happy just being a level 2 mage? At the table in the middle of the room is Maxime. He asks, how are you feeling now? According to what Frank said, it seems your memory has returned. He approaches the table and replies, yes, that's right, they've returned. Maxime, holding documents, replies, I see. That's certainly good news. Oscar observes the person opposite him. Elder Maxim, used to be my junior. This blonde man is the elder of the White Tower, Maxim Biasic, currently 45 years old. He smiles slightly and remarks, "This guy is a junior who joined the tower long after me, but now he's old and an elder. He's an honest person regarding falsehoods and very perceptive, so he has a bright future." Oscar remembers a boy who used to follow him around. He used to follow me and call me senior all the time and later called me Tower Master of Magic. I found that quite endearing. Oscar nods, smiling to himself. But now, he's in his early 40s. He has worked very hard. His magic is so abundant, it reflects his age. Maxim, noticing his unusual expression, asks immediately, "Why are you smiling like that?" Then he gets to the main point. "I received a report that the master of the Gordon family and the leader were killed." Maxim questions sternly, "Do you have anything to say about this report?" Oscar is silent for a moment before replying, "No, I don't. But I think there's a reasonable explanation for their deaths. I think it's because they tried to assassinate me." Hearing this, Maxim's eyes widen in surprise. Oscar places a small pouch and the file on the table as evidence. The potion contained poison. And this is the commission fee, as well as the ledger regarding the assassination attempt on me. Maxim wonders, "Is the reason you were bedridden because you were almost assassinated?" Oscar nods. "That's right. I went to try and talk to them, but they wanted to assassinate me." Maxim carefully reads the file he brought. He looks at the gold pouch on the table and says, "There's money here, so this looks quite credible." Oscar explains the ledger contains the details of the assassination contract. Maxim accepts. "I understand. I will close this case citing self-defense on your part." He replies calmly, "I would be very grateful if you could do that. Also, could I ask you for a personal favor?" Maxim wonders, "A personal favor? What is it?" Oscar states his request, "I want to meet the Magic Tower Master." Hearing this, the man nods immediately. "That's not difficult, since you often discuss magic matters with her." Hearing this, Oscar is surprised. Oscar Crucian discussed magic with Sasha. Then he hears Maxim add, "However, the earliest you can meet her is after 6 months." Oscar jumps, exclaiming, "Huh." Why, his heart races. But that's after the White Night Festival begins. Maxim slowly explains, "She's away on business dealing with an important commission." Oscar interrupts, "Wait, why does the Magic Tower Master have to do such a trivial task?" He realizes it's because the high-level mages are absent. Maxim agrees, "It's truly shameful." Oscar complains silently, "I didn't think it was important enough for the Magic Tower Master to handle it personally." Then he wonders, "Forgive my rudeness, but what level is the Tower Master?" Maxim answers, casually, "She is a level 7 mage." Oscar hesitates and replies, "I understand." His mind is turbulent again. At her age, I was level 9, but she's only level 7. With Sasha's talent, she should at least be level 8. Maxim suddenly looks up and adds, "Furthermore, the report states the severed part of the corpse was incredibly clean. Have you been practicing attack magic again?" Oscar replies coolly, "Well, I only practice whenever I remember it." Maxim relents, "I understand. If that's all, then you may leave now." He replies, "All right." As Oscar leaves, a figure lurks outside the door. Maxim greets Vice Tower Master. "What brings you here?" "The Vice Tower Master of the White Tower." Hamel Greenwood smiles gently and says, "I came to tell you not to be too strict with that child, but it seems I arrived a bit too late." Maxim chuckles, "I need to scold him if he gets into trouble." Hamel enters with clasped hands. "You're right, but I was the one who brought him here, so I'll be the one to worry about him." Maxim hesitates. But he recalls the wind shield Oscar cast. Although it was basic magic, it couldn't be perfected in just 1 or 2 days of effort. I'm sure he studied very hard in secret somewhere. Maxim smiles and praise Oscar, "That kid. He might have studied harder than I thought." Hamel chuckles, "I'm glad to hear that. Should we head to the Elder's meeting room? Elder Fidelina is waiting for us." Hearing this, Maxim stands up and replies, "Yes." The elevator announcement speaker sounds, "This is the 10th floor." Then Oscar strolls through the greenhouse area. "I saw my students in my dream, so I wanted to come here." He looks around as the wind blows his hair messily. It has become emptier. Just then the gardener appears. He greets friendly, "Isn't this young Master Oscar?" He hesitates, wondering, "Who are you, sir?" The gardener gently replies, I'm Wyatt, the person in charge of the facilities at the Mage Tower. It seems the rumor about you losing your memory is true. We used to talk a lot. What a pity." Oscar asks dejectedly, "How far has the rumor about my memory loss spread? Is it true?" Wyatt just laughs heartily. Then he wonders, "But what do you mean when you call me young Master Oscar?" The old man removes a leaf from his hat and replies, I've also worked here since the previous Tower Master was still around. He was the great Master Oscar." Hearing that, Oscar can't help but be startled. He smiles gently and says, "That's a very good way to distinguish between us. I'll use that method too. Moreover, from now on, could you be my confidant?" Wyatt keeps a smile on his lips. "I'm very happy about that offer, but it might be a bit difficult because I'm about to leave the tower." Hearing this, Oscar feels immense regret. "Where are you planning to go?" The man replies, "It's been 40 years since I started working here." He still doesn't understand and asks again, "Huh, is there a problem?" Wyatt explains with sad eyes, I served 3 tower masters during my time here, and my colleagues have also constantly changed. I'm the only one left in this branch. The only reason I've stayed here so long is because of the words of the former tower master, Master Oscar Sager, spoken at his inauguration. He remembers the handsome and imposing great Oscar speaking, "Everyone in this tower is necessary. Therefore live with the pride of being a citizen of the White Tower." Hearing this, Oscar coughs awkwardly. Wyatt ignores him and continues speaking. It might sound a bit funny, but from that moment on, I always worked as a member of the White Tower. But Oscar manages to correct him. It's really not funny at all. The man nods. Thank you, sir. However, because of that reason, I will also retire. Oscar asks bluntly. What do you mean? Wyatt looks towards the cracked water basin. As you know, Master Oscar, the tower isn't operating as well as it used to. Especially when looking at the facilities, its finances are no longer good. Next month will mark my 40th year working here. Oscar lowers his eyes and asks, is that because of your long service award? All members of the White Tower, except for mages, receive a long service medal and a monetary reward in their 20th and 40th year. Those who have worked here for 40 years receive 200,000 bell, and that amount can buy the largest house in the city, Wyatt explains. With the current state of the White Tower, they can't afford to pay me that amount. To pay me that money, many people would have to risk their lives and handle new commissions. I can't accept it when I think about it. No matter what anyone says, this place is my second home. Oscar realizes with shock I didn't expect it to be this bad. I thought the tower did outrageous things for money. Who am I to stick my nose into their business? Because they can earn money, they are in the best condition in history. He clenches his fist until it bleeds. Conversely, we only have titles. War Hero and Savior of Humanity are both significant titles, but they mean nothing because they can't even fund rewards for those who have poured all their strength into this tower for decades. Young Master Oscar, Wyatt's call pulls him from his thoughts. He takes his bloody hand and asks worriedly, "Why are you clenching your fist so tightly?" Oscar ignores his wound and asks, "When do you plan to leave?" Wyatt answers, 2 weeks later. He takes a cloth to bandage his hand and reminds him, "Here, please go down to the infirmary and apply medicine." Oscar says with a grim face, "I hope you will still become my confidant." Wyatt hesitates. "But I will." He interrupts before the man can continue. "You don't need to leave. I will make sure of that," Oscar tells himself as he clenches his fist again. There is a way to earn a lot of money. Then this will never happen. I will definitely do it. Oscar remembers what he said earlier and thinks wearily. Easier said than done. But how can I do it? He holds out his fingers, counting 1, 2, 3. Currently, the ways I can think of are research, teaching, taking commissions. But if I don't get money immediately, it's a problem. And right now, I'm only a level 2 mage. I need some kind of business that can make a lot of money. It seems magic potions are the only option. Suddenly, Oscar seems to see something. Then he quickly rereads, "Wait a minute, this is..." In the Vice Tower Master's room, a woman speaks loudly. "This time, I can't turn a blind eye anymore." "This is embezzlement," Maxime replies. "Well, of course doing that is wrong." But, hearing this, she frowns unhappily. "But what?" "This is the elder of the White Magic Tower financial manager, Fidelina," Maxime explains. "It's like this, the culprit is also remorseful." She snaps furiously. "So you're just going to let it go?" Once theft becomes a habit, one will only sink deeper. He lifts his teacup leisurely and replies, "You don't need to worry. Our tower doesn't have much worth stealing anyway." This remark from Maxim makes the bomb inside Fidelina explode. She gets close to his face. "Our tower doesn't have much worth stealing, just isolate that kid." Maxim disagrees with that opinion and retorts, "No way. What's the point of isolated training for a level 1 child like that?" Hamel on the other side just sits silently drinking tea. Thinking silently, is this really a conversation between 2 elders nearing 100? Then he puts down his teacup. Elder Maxim has already said it. Isolated training is too harsh. For a child, that's no different from torture. Fidelina seems unwilling to accept, but Hamel mediates. Instead, let's have him repay triple the amount of research funds he used himself. Fidelina weakly objects, only triple, but he directly ignores her. So be it. Let's move on to the next issue. She sighs and continues. "We have too little money. I think we'll have to make a decision soon." Fidelina sits back in her chair before continuing. "There are many areas we don't even use. If we sell the equipment in the potion crafting room, we can use that money to cover living expenses. Otherwise, we'll really have to close the tower." Hamel closes his eyes. "I disagree." Fidelina calls out stunned, "But Vice Tower Master." He crosses his arms, slowly explaining, "This place is a magic tower, a place where mages gather to research magic and share knowledge. New winds cannot blow into a closed room. We cannot sell the future just to satisfy today's hunger." Fidelina asks coldly, "Do we even have something called a future? We've been waiting for 20 years. Seeing her like this, Maxim shouts, "Fidelina." She continues, "Vice Tower Master, you must accept the truth. Even if some genius appears and saves this magic tower of ours, they would never agree to come to the White Tower. Hamel says nothing, just quietly looks at his reflection in the teacup. He moves his lips. But before he can speak, a knock sounds at the door. Fidelina asks unhappily, "Who is it? We're in a meeting." Hamel, however, gently replies, "Come in." "Hello?" Oscar enters and introduces himself. "I am Oscar Crucian." Hamel gently asks, "What is it, Oscar?" He replies, "I want to make a proposal. Please allow me to start a business." Hearing these confident words, Fidelina jumps and shouts, "What? You're quite amusing. Have you forgotten about embezzling research funds a few days ago? And now what you want to do, business? Fidelina angrily mutters curses in a corner. Oscar doesn't care and presents the newspaper he just read. "While reading some old newspapers, I found an article. A severe flu outbreak occurred in the Vince estate area, causing it to be quarantined." Hamel replies, "I saw this article too. People say this might be the Cadena flu. If it really is Cadena flu, that's indeed bad news." He recalls a fierce fire. The Cadena flu currently has no cure. In the past, the White Tower researched a vaccine, so it's not a big deal. But the vaccine formula was lost 20 years ago. Oscar smiles and replies, "Yes. Even the Blue Magic Tower, which currently dominates the magic potion market, hasn't been able to recreate the vaccine. That's why I want to start with it." Hamel asks blankly, "What?" He states clearly, "I want to sell the vaccine for the Cadena flu. In the past, this was also the White Tower's right. I intend to restore this monopoly." These words leave everyone stunned. Fidelina scoffs, "This proposal of yours isn't even worth listening to. Magic towers and pharmaceutical companies have all invested a lot of money and effort, but no one has been able to recreate that vaccine in the past 20 years. Then she glares until veins pop on her face. "But you think you can do it? A 20-year-old kid like you." Oscar turns his head back to answer Fidelina. "It's true they all failed, and I'm just a 20-year-old kid. But I am a genius." He places his hand on his chest, smiling confidently in reply. Fidelina becomes even more furious. She resumes her torrent of curses. "Are you kidding me? During the last 17 research fee payments you took 723,000. Bell, you even pocketed an extra 25,000. Bell 2, buy some illegal potion. Do you know what the average annual central income of a farmer is after taxes? It's 20,000. Oscar hears the scolding, his ears buzzing as if filled with blood. Fidelina continues, pointing incessantly. "And what did you say? You're a genius? Is it because you don't know where money comes from? Because you come from a well-off family?" Hamel interrupts her at this moment. "Elder Fidelina, Oscar is here to propose an official investment opportunity as a mage of the White Tower. I know you are the financial manager, but your current behavior is too rude." She calmly sits back down. "I apologize." Oscar also thinks silently, "I was wondering why she hated me so much, but it turns out it's because she's the treasurer. That makes sense. After all, for the past 2 years, I haven't made any significant contributions." However, he turns back to Hamel and continues, "I am very confident about this. Please consider it carefully." He silently concludes, "I am different from the owner of this body." Hamel is silent, then questions, "Why are you so sure this is the Cadena flu?" Oscar smiles and replies, "Yes. Please read page 2 of the newspaper." Hamel turns the page and reads aloud, "Archbishop Baldwin of the Eltera Church suddenly changed his plans while on pilgrimage." He continues, "He will stay in Siren for a month to pray for blessings." Isn't that very strange? Until now, the only places they agreed to stop for a month were major cities. The Eltera Church worships Terra Mother Earth. There are only 7 archbishops in the church. They should be the heads of the church, so they should be more upright than anyone. But in reality, that's not the case. To become a cardinal, the second highest position of authority in the church, requires a very large amount of campaign money. The archbishop is allowed to stay in the mansion he visits during his pilgrimage for 1 month, but that's only when he meets nobles and merchants and receives money from them. But what about Siren? This place used to be a large city, but its size is gradually shrinking. Maxime also speaks up. "You're right. But I thought his reason was to pray for blessings." Oscar holds out his hand to explain. "That makes it even stranger. Praying for blessings in a barren land." He quickly spins the globe beside him. "As you already know, the pilgrimage route for members of the Eltera Church is already chosen for them. Siren Mosque, Melbourne, and Green Gale. Then comes Vince." He points to a small dot on the map. Oscar continues analyzing. "The archbishop stayed in Knock for a month before coming to Siren. If I'm not mistaken, he also stayed in Mosque for a month, and the same goes for Melbourne and Green Gale. It's as if he's trying to delay visiting Vince for as long as possible. Isn't it?" Hearing this, everyone realizes something. He continues, "If any accident or misfortune happens during the pilgrimage, people at the Terra Church will say he angered the Earth Goddess. And that's no different from a death sentence for an archbishop wanting to become cardinal." Maxime speaks up, wondering. "So Archbishop Baldwin knows that the flu currently raging in Vince is the Cadena flu, and is trying to buy time until the epidemic subsides." Oscar nods in agreement. "I think so too." Fidelina waves her hand. Your analytical skills are quite good, truly worthy of being a theoretical mage. But currently, this is still just a hypothesis." Hamel expresses agreement again. "I understand what you just said." Oscar excitedly proposes. "Then, but we cannot officially sponsor you. But the man interrupts him again, saying Oscar is startled. What? Hamill slowly explains, if we do that, all other expenses will be cut. He tries to persuade, but... Then, not letting Oscar say more, Hamill takes out an envelope. However, I can invest my own personal funds into this business of yours. Seeing this, Fidelina shouts, Vice Tower Master that, but he waves his hand, smiling gently. It's all right. Then turns and says, there's only 30,000 bell in here. Is this enough? Oscar murmurs, 30,000 bell. Then his face darkens as he screams internally, not enough at all. Far from enough. A long time later in the potion crafting room, Oscar covers his face, tired. He holds up the test flask while telling himself, oh well, looks like I'll have to use the backup plan. The equipment is all still very good. I'll use this money to create a vaccine sample and earn money from the Archbishop. He's the one having the most trouble from the Cadena flu epidemic right now. Turning around, he sees Frank struggling to carry things and sighs. He's working very hard. Oscar puts on his lab goggles, telling himself, right, it's best to extort money from you when you're in a difficult situation. Now it's time to warm up. Frank looks at the excited young man and can't help but assess what's wrong with him. Oscar opens his eyes wide, observing the red smoke before him. Chemicals evaporate from the test flask. He whispers, now's the time, then opens the lid and quickly pours it into the flask. He checks it briefly, then smiles and says, not bad. Oscar holds the potion he prepared in his hand, thinking silently. Oscar holds the potion he prepared in his hand, thinking silently. People often say class is permanent. I made this for practice, but it seems I worried too much. Meanwhile, in a corner, Frank is panting heavily as if about to die. He shouts, my back is broken, as he drops several bags of ingredients. Oscar pays no attention and just praises verbally. Very good. Did you retrieve all the lost pharmaceuticals? Frank, exhausted, slumps down, leaning against the bags of goods. Of course. Look, by the way, do you have anything to drink? I feel like I'm about to faint. Here's the receipt. Oscar replies to Frank. I have fatigue recovery medicine. Hearing this, the boy is very surprised. What, isn't that very expensive? Give it here. Oscar gives the potion he just created to Frank. Here, I'll take the receipt. Frank tearfully accepts it. Thank you. After drinking it, he immediately praises it. Warm and tasty. Did you just make this? Oscar replies immediately. Yeah, just made it. Then opens the bags of ingredients inside and assesses. The condition of the ingredients is perfect. Frank says proudly, I brought all the best ones. The shop owner went crazy because of it. Hearing this, Oscar asks again, really, with those eyes, you should become a merchant instead of a mage. Frank replies, I'll think about it when our tower collapses. But before he finishes speaking, Oscar bonks him on the head several times. Frank raises his hand to his forehead, whining, why'd you do that? Oscar, realizing he went a bit too far, relents. Sorry, my hand slipped. It's because you said something unlucky. Then Frank wonders, anyway, what are we doing here? Elder Fidelina told me to help you. It'll be very difficult if you do it alone. Oscar thinks of Fidelina's extremely annoyed face and thinks, she was annoyed with me to my face, but then he assigns the task. All right, then start by organizing the ingredients. He gently lifts the pile of sacks. Although it's not like I really need help. Currently, the White Tower has countless troublesome kids, even though they are very talented. The gears don't mesh together. If they could combine, they would contribute greatly to the tower's strength. And one of them is him, Frank Siros. Looking at the young man ahead, Oscar thinks continuously. There's definitely a reason why many people rate him so highly. I'm a bit curious about him, so this is the perfect time to confirm. Just then, Frank speaks up asking, I realized as soon as I bought them. But aren't they all poisonous? He lists the names. Black Trumpet of the Valley Red Tea. Demon Mushroom. Miva Leaf. Oscar answers, just because they carry poison doesn't mean they can't be used as medicine. You know what to do before using them, right? Frank replies, put the poisonous pharmaceuticals in water and boil for 12 hours to remove the toxins from them. Oscar arranges the plants in pots and praises exactly. Except there's one problem with that method, all the substances in them will be lost. Frank, do you know the dish called ban bao steamed bun? He replies, of course I've eaten some before. But why mention it? Oscar explains to make ban bao people use a steamer. If you use that to remove the toxins, we will retain most of the substances in the pharmaceuticals. With this method, we can retain 98% of the ingredient's effectiveness. Frank looks surprised and asks again, wait, really? Then the monopoly on pharmaceutical aids will... Before he finishes, Oscar interrupts him. This method is feasible as the White Tower did before. Frank watches the actions of the person beside him. Wow, and that's the end of the detoxification process. Oscar replies, no, this just softens the ingredients, making them easier to detoxify. Oscar opens the steamer lid. The detoxification process starts now. He raises his hand over the steamer. A powerful beam of light emits as he casts the magic air extraction. The air inside the steamer has now turned into a small cloud. Oscar lifts it while explaining, with this we just need to remove the toxins from the steamer. Looking closely, the smoke now separates into pink and green colors, then condenses into a clear sphere carrying the toxic vapor. Oscar controls the medicinal spheres. Now there should be no poison left in the steamer, so we just need to mix them in the correct ratio. 23%. Red tea, 47%. Manhwa leaf. After some mixing and blending, finally in Oscar's hand is a jade green potion vial. Here. This is the Kadena flu treatment. How about that easy, right? Frank stares wide-eyed, still not understanding what happened. Oscar says, now it's your turn. Hearing this, Frank freezes stiffly. Turn for what? When starting the practice, Frank mutters to himself, easier said than done. I still can't use magic simultaneously. But I can't tell him I don't know how to cast 2 spells at once. He turns and says instead, start with air extraction right. Watching how Frank is performing, Oscar can't help but assess his mana control is a bit unstable, but not too bad. He's doing better than I thought. However, that's all. Just after praising him, Frank starts struggling with the giant purple sphere. Seeing this, Oscar speaks up, asking, what's wrong? Frank replies, are you messing with me? I can't dual cast. You have to be level 4 or 5 or something to understand the mechanics of this. I'm only level 3. Hearing this, he kindly says, let me teach you. Frank jumps and asks again, are you going to teach me that secret technique? Oscar replies, try thinking of it as dividing your mind. It's easier if you know the mechanism. Oscar patiently explains to Frank, on the left side you use magic A, on the right side you use magic B. Try it. It's okay to fail. Frank is a bit skeptical, but still raises his hand to follow divide it. And then the toxic vapor successfully condenses. Seeing this, Frank can't help but get excited. Oscar claps, congratulations, you've learned dual casting. The young man blurts out, that easy. Then why did they hide it for so long? I thought it was very difficult. Oscar suddenly replies sternly, because they are greedy. He thinks silently. They don't want to teach the technique they worked hard to learn to their juniors for free. And it became tradition. On the other side, Frank continues dividing 23%, red tea 47%, Manhwa leaf. Then Oscar thinks again. But on the battlefield, tradition is nothing but an obstacle. To survive, sharing techniques and solutions is essential every day. Watching Frank enthusiastically after creating the product, Oscar is also happy. The White Tower now needs active teaching and knowledge exchange. And he did this very well. He offers praise, very good. You are very talented. Honestly, I didn't think you'd succeed on the first try. Frank takes the antidote vial in his hand. His face is slightly flushed with joy. Well, it's because you explained it clearly. Oscar still doesn't forget to tease, even though you just got mad at me earlier. Hearing this, Frank clears his throat several times. He squats down, pretending to rummage through the medicine bag. Oh, there are still so many ingredients, I have to continue making more medicine. He glances slightly at Frank and smiles lightly. I have a larger steamer, so let's do it all in one go. Frank happily replies, all right. A few hours later, countless potion vials are laid out on 2 large tables. Frank bends over, panting heavily near the floor. I'm dying, while Oscar steadily counts the potions. Total is 514 vials. Maxime suddenly bursts in shouting, Oscar, we have a problem. He asks back, what is it? Maxime presents a notice stating Blue Tower Pharmaceutical Company, Newtek, confirmed a visit to Siren 1 hour ago. The purpose is to meet with Archbishop Baldwin. Maxime continues, it seems we're a bit late. Oscar thinks for a moment, so they didn't just delay time without a prior plan. Maxime hesitates, saying if they have a prior contract. Frank also adds, then our medicine will be useless. Saying this, his tears fall freely. Maxime quickly runs over to comfort him. Calm down. Sometimes there are unlucky moments in life. Oscar suddenly speaks up. It's not over yet. If I remember correctly, the Kadena flu is classified as a Class B disaster. If that's the case, there's still one thing we can do. Hearing this, Maxime asks again. Really? He replies, yes, Elder. Your maximum flight speed is faster than a carriage, isn't it? At a hotel in Siren, a knock sounds on the door. Archbishop, the guest you mentioned, has arrived. He replies, let them in. He belongs to the main religion of the empire, the Eltera Church. Archbishop Baldwin. The level 5 mage of the Blue Tower Morriman bows first in greeting Elsia. Thanks to you, we could arrive here safely. Behind him is the CEO of Newtek Pharmaceuticals, Neil Bryan. Baldwin gestures in reply. Elsia, please sit. Moria smiles and replies, thank you, Archbishop. Baldwin speaks first. So how is the production of the Kadena flu treatment going? He replies confidently, proceeding very smoothly. Hearing this, he seems pleased, just as expected from the Blue Tower and Newtek. When will they be completed? Moria says. We just need clinical trials and then it's done. Neil also adds, with these results we can get approval from the Imperial Food and Drug Administration. Hearing this, Baldwin exclaims excitedly, but Moria forces a smile and says, however, as you know, trials cannot end in just a day or two. Baldwin quickly asks again, so when do you plan to sell it? Moria promises, I promise it will be within half a year. Hearing this, Baldwin shouts, half a year. I have to leave Vince in the next 4 months. Moria is flustered, but the plan is... Suddenly a knock sounds at the door. Baldwin snaps unhappily. What is it? The person outside answers Archbishop, another mage wishes to see you. He agrees reluctantly. Let them in. He looks over at Moria, clicking his tongue. Why didn't you say there was someone else? Moria replies somewhat stiffly. Yes, we don't have anyone else with us. Hearing this, all three hesitantly turn towards the door, wondering in unison without prior arrangement. Then who could this be? A footstep enters. Let's see. If I remember correctly, Elshia is the greeting within the church. Oscar places his hand on his chest and bows slightly. Hello, I am Oscar Rashian, a level 2 mage from the White Tower. He smiles. I came here to make you a better offer. After hearing Oscar's introduction, Baldwin asks puzzledly, The White Tower, what brings you here? Oscar gently replies, I came here to sell the treatment for the Cadion flu. This single sentence startles everyone. Baldwin says, what timely arrival. The two people here also came for the same purpose. Oscar politely replies, am I too late? Baldwin sighs. Not at all, they haven't fully prepared everything yet. Hearing this, Oscar says, that's a relief to hear. The White Tower is ready to negotiate right here, if necessary. Seeing this, Moria shouts furiously, that's a lie. Those from the White Tower have neither the money nor the technology to develop the treatment. Baldwin remarks, a sharp opinion indeed. What is your family name? Oscar. Oscar replies, no, Crucian is more accurate. Baldwin nods, very good. Oscar Crucian, is it true you have the treatment? Oscar places down a small box. Who would dare lie to the Archbishop of the Eltera Church? He opens the box, revealing the antidote vial he prepared. This is a sample, Baldwin exclaims joyfully. Oh my, if we conclude negotiations like this, then I'll ask directly, how much can you produce and when can you produce them? Seeing the big deal about to slip away, Moria cries out in panic. Archbishop Baldwin, he's not the type to be easily pushed around either. Snapping, why are you shouting at me? You're the one who came here unprepared. Moria is cornered, but we don't have approval from the Empire's pharmaceutical and drug administrator. Then he seems to remember something. Right. He turns to ask Oscar, Oi, have you gotten approval from the Empire's apothecary guild yet? Oscar calmly replies, not yet. Moria laughs triumphantly upon receiving the answer, just as I predicted. Archbishop, the White Tower's case is no different from ours. We can produce on a large scale throughout the territory once we get approval. Furthermore, please remember, this is the White Tower we're talking about. Oscar looks at him without a word. Moria glances sideways, considering the long history of our tower. I assure you that the treatment we are developing with the best pharmaceutical company available will be much better. Hearing this, Oscar retorts, you have a point. However, it's quite humorous to hear you talk about your tower's long history in front of a mage from the White Tower. Moria glares, his expression extremely annoyed. What, take that back immediately? Oscar dusts off his hands. Did I say something wrong? According to the territory's history, which Mage Tower was established first? Moria asks helplessly. Are you really counting just a 5-year difference? Oscar repeats. Only a 5-year difference. Interesting. That 5-year difference you mentioned, the gap that many tower masters of your blue tower wanted to close, is a gap that even after 1,000 years, no, 10,000 years, you still cannot catch up to the White Tower. That's how history works. You surely forgot the White Tower's monopoly on the new medicine market 20 years ago. Hearing this, Moria can't help but grit his teeth angrily. He waves his hand dismissively. That's the past. No one will remember. Suddenly he stops mid-sentence. Oscar now exudes an overwhelming aura towards his opponent. A past no one remembers. So that's what you think. Then the invisible pressure disappears. Both Moria and Neil are terrified. What was that feeling just now? That wasn't the power a level 2 mage could generate. Oscar then says, in that case, I'll have to remind you. Moria cries out, confused, what? Just then, a servant suddenly runs in, holding a phone, calling loudly. Archbishop, I apologize for interrupting, but there's an urgent call. On a pile of ashes, a man kneels on the ground, his body pierced by a sword. Around him are countless corpses, blood flowing like rivers. Oscar calls out desperately. Answer me, if anyone is still alive, answer me. If you can't speak, move or make a sound, please. Amidst the sea of blood, a brilliant circle shines.